Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gabby and welcome to episode number 3. I am very excited to be here today because I have a lot of very exciting updates. Yeah, I think it's been about 2 weeks since I have done my last podcast and I've made a lot of progress. So today we're going to talk about my finished objects, my works in progress, and some of my future plans, specifically fall future plans, because it is September and there is a chill in the air and it is now declared fall. So we are fully in autumnal knitting season. So excited. Fall is my favorite time of year and I'm so excited to make some more things that are appropriate for the season. Now let's go ahead and talk about my finished objects. My lumme sweater. She's perfect. I am absolutely elated about this sweater. This has been on my want to knit list for a very long time. So I'm so excited to actually finally have the sweater. Okay, let's get into the details. I've got my little notebook here with all of the deets on all of my projects. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm reading. Okay, so first of all, the lumme pullover by Sari Nordland. What a lovely pattern. So I knit this in the size 5. I knit the ribbing with 5mm and I knit the color work in 6mm. I knit the sleeves in 5.5 and then the color work again on the sleeves in 6mm. I will say I did knit the body, the rest of the body in 6. I didn't really think to change it, and it is still the same gauge, but it's like a looser gauge. It's like 4.5 stitches per inch, which adds up to like 18 per 4 inches, and it's just a little bit looser than what the 5.5 does on the sleeves. I like this look a little bit better, and I was also really nervous about like ballooning on the sleeve because I've seen that in some projects where like this section of the sleeve is much looser because of the color work above and below it. So I was really nervous about like it kind of looking funky, but it's super smooth. It is just like the teeniest bit tighter right here at the bottom, but who is going to notice that besides me? I knit this in Barocco Vintage, and that is a mix of 52% acrylic, 40% wool, and 8% nylon. I'm a sensitive kind of girly, so 100% wool is difficult for me usually. I would say this is still slightly itchy, but I'm wearing a t-shirt underneath it and it is fully tolerable. So it's really only sensitive like around my neck and my chest. So the main body color is Barnhouse, and then the contrast colors, the white is Mushroom and the yellow is Marmalade. I went back and forth on whether I wanted to just do one contrast color or if I wanted to do 2 contrasting colors. I found a project on Ravelry that did alternating sections just like this, and then also implemented a different contrast color in the flower motif. I did a poll on Instagram and I just wanted to see people's opinions on whether I should just do Mushroom as the contrast color or just Marmalade as the contrast color, or if I should do a combination of all 3. And all 3 won for good reason. It was a great choice. I was leaning towards that anyways, but I just wanted to hear other people's opinion on that. I think it was a great call. I love the color work in just one contrast color, but I think it just is so much more striking in 2 contrast colors. It just gives it such a different look. I'll insert a picture of the project that I found on Ravelry that did the alternating sections of color work and then also implementing the different color in the flower. So there's just like one yellow stripe in the flower in the body, and then I did the same thing on the sleeves. I just think it's a really nice touch. It just gives it just a little more detail to an already super busy color work motif. It just kind of breaks it up a little bit, which I really like. One thing to note is I did Italian bind off on all of my edges, which is my preferred bind off method. I think it looks the best, and it's also really easy. I've gotten to a point where I can like really get into a flow with it, and it isn't as much of a daunting task as it used to be when I first started doing it. I find it really therapeutic, and it's fun to get into the flow of it. Another thing to note is for my color work, I held my main color in my right hand, so I threw it, and then in my left hand I held my contrasting color, so I knit that Continental. Apparently it's supposed to help with like color dominance. It was nice to just get in the flow of doing that, which I don't know, it was a lot of fun. But I will say, when I got to just like the main body color, I just knit that Continental because that's much quicker for me. And I also didn't do any body shaping. There are options to do body shaping like under the color work in the back, and I think just above the hem as well. I just decided not to do either, and I think it fits perfectly great. I would say that the length is like the perfect cropped length that I prefer right now. It's not too short, it's not too long. It's just beautiful. I am so unbelievably proud of myself for making this sweater. Like, it's just one of those things that you just admire, and it's like, I can't believe I made that. Like, I made that with my own 2 hands. so awesome. So I'm super proud of my lumme sweater. I am so excited to have this in my wardrobe, and it will definitely get a lot of wear this year. It's probably one of my favorite sweaters I've ever made, to be honest with you. Okay, so my next finished object, which I am considering finished even though it is not fully blocked. It's halfway blocked, but I bound off the second sleeve this morning. I wove in all of my ends, so I'm considering this a finished object, okay? I present to you the King Salmon by Caitlin Hunter. Ah, this is so gorgeous. Like, are you joking? Are you joking? Okay, so let's get into the details of this beautiful, beautiful sweater. I cannot. I love the motif of this. Anyways, okay, details, right? So I knit the size 4, which comes out to 122 centimeters as the bust circumference, which I typically go for like about 115 to 120 centimeters is my preferred bust circumference. My measurement is about 100 centimeters right now. I say right now being like postpartum and breastfeeding. So I imagine this is just gonna have a little more positive ease as things change in the future, but I'm totally okay with that. I love an oversized look. But yeah, so I knit the size 4. I knit the ribbing in 4mm and I knit the colorwork in 5mm. And I also knit the body and sleeves in 4.5. I've come to find with my colorwork tension that it's best for me to size up one because it does tend to get a little bit tighter, which I think is really typical. So I find that that works best for me. This is knit in Barocco Remix. This is a really interesting mix of fibers. So it's 30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic, 10% silk, and 9% linen. So it doesn't have any wool in it, but I really like it because it gives it like a tweedy kind of look because it's such a mix of fibers, and it is at like a worsted weight gauge, so it was perfect for this pattern. I got a great deal on Facebook Marketplace for this yarn. I believe it was 5 balls of the yellow, which is Buttercup. And then I got 6 balls of the green in the color Juniper. I was doing the math before I even made this sweater of like, can I get 2 sweaters out of this? And yes, I can. So I decided to do Buttercup as the main color and then Juniper as the contrasting color. And it's funny because I almost got away with just using 1 ball of the green for my contrast. And literally on the last 2 lines of the color work, I had to use a new ball. So we almost got there. But I just thought that was really funny. The pattern calls for wrap and turn as the short rows in the back. And I decided to do German short rows just because I like how that looks more and I'm super familiar with it. And I think the yarn overs, like the double stitches, fill in the holes really well when you're turning. So that looks really, really nice. I will say I was really, really nervous about the difference in my short rows and my tension and my color work because it was like causing a little bit of like bagginess. I don't want to say puckering because it wasn't puckering, but it was definitely looser like in this section compared to when I started my color work. I was feeling really defeated because I had first started my color work with 4.5mm needles and then changed to 5mm on like the 5th row of the chart because I realized that my tension was too tight. That kind of caused like you to be able to see the difference in tension. I decided to block it before I put the sleeves on because 1, I wanted to see if the yoke would grow at all with blocking, and 2, I wanted to see if I could kind of like stretch out the color work and see if I could fix that like little hump that it was causing in the back with the short rows. And it was still kind of there, and I literally for an entire night after finishing half of 1 sleeve, I had it in my brain that I was going to frog the whole sweater the next day. Little teaser for you, I did frog a different sweater. That was a work in progress. So I had frogging in my mind and I wasn't afraid of it because I had just done it. So I'm like, okay, I want this sweater to be 100% perfect, and if I have to frog it and start over, that's fine. If I have to pick a different yarn, that's fine. I want it to be perfect. I want to be able to wear it, right? And then I slept on it, and the next day I was like, okay, look, I'm gonna finish both sleeves and see if the weight of the sleeves kind of pulls down the sweater a little bit and just flattens out the back at the short rows. It did. Everything is fine. And I think blocking the entire sweater will also help it as well. So I think it's just kind of the nature too of like such a deep colorwork yoke that there's like a little bit of bulging in the back, and also just kind of feeling like kind of cape-like. The yoke sits a lot deeper than my lumme, and since my lumme is broken up in different colors, I've noticed that it's like a lot more flexible. That's not the case with this one, and I think that's also because of my yarn choice as well, that it's a little bit more stiff. But it's something I'm willing to live with. And like I said, I think it will get better with blocking. So we'll just see how that goes. I knit the body length 2 pattern, but I did change up the decrease rate on the sleeves because I knew that the recommended amount of decreases would be too long in length for my sleeves. So I did change that. It was like I did what was recommended for like the first 4, and then I spaced them out a little bit more on my last 3. I think I was supposed to do like 13 decreases. That's way too much. So I really only did like maybe 9 decreases. And then I also did Italian bind off on all the edges as well. Okay. Let's just admire the floats, okay? I was really diligent about catching all of my floats on this one. I was not super good about that on my lumme, and there are some sections where, like, especially in this one, that the floats are, I think, like, there's like 9 stitches between each stitch, so you kind of lose that bottom stitch a little bit, and I was better about catching the floats in the sleeves because I was worried about my fingers catching them. That kind of alleviates all of the issues that I found in here, which are minimal issues, but, you know, just something to be mindful of. So I made sure to be really good about catching my floats on this one, and let's just admire how beautiful, hey baby, and let's just admire how beautiful they are, okay? Like, come on. Beautiful. That's the front of the sweater. The back is the same, obviously, but it looks like an inverse version of the chart. That's so cool. I love it. I am so unbelievably proud of this sweater as well. As soon as I saw this, I was like, yep, have to make it. And so this is my submission for the Fish Girl Fall make along that Young Folk Knits and someone else who I don't remember is putting on Instagram. So this is my submission for that. So exciting. It actually worked out well because I had already started on this sweater before she announced the make along. So I'm really excited to get this blocked and then take some really cute pictures of it so I can have it as an official submission for the make along. Yeah, love. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to block this thing. Now let's get into works in progress. I have a lot of updates on this one for you too. I've been busy, okay? First, we'll talk about the project I've made the most progress on. You'll be proud of me. My step-by-step sweater by Florence Miller that I am making for my boyfriend, Tyler. I've made a lot of progress. I'm really proud. So this is knit in Drops Nepal in the color 8906. I'm knitting the size 5 for him, and the ribbing is knit in 4.5 millimeter needles, and the body is knit in 5.5 millimeter, which I believe is what the pattern calls for. The yarn is a little bit rustic. It's not really my first choice, but it is nice to work with. I have blocked this to see if it would grow a lot because I'm almost at the point where I need to do the ribbing and I wanted it to be blocked to see exactly how much more I needed to do on the body. I've also had Tyler try this on and it's looking really nice. It measures 12 inches from the underarm to where I'm at right now. It measured 12 inches before blocking as well, so it didn't grow like at all, which I found kind of surprising. So with him trying it on, I measured how much longer I need to do, and it looks like it's about 5 inches. So I'm thinking I'll do 3 more inches on the body and then do a 2-inch ribbing. I think that would look really nice. And then I'll go ahead and get started on the sleeves. Now, I wanted this to be kind of done by his birthday, which is in 2 days. Haven't quite gotten to my goal. That's okay. I kind of figured I wouldn't because the King Salmon sweater became #1 on my list of things to get done. It's still too warm for him to wear it anyways. So I feel like so long as it's done before it actually gets cold around here, it will be fine. But yeah, I'm really excited for that to be done for him. And it's kind of funny. When I was knitting my King Salmon, he was like, I kind of want a fish sweater. And part of me in my head was like, okay, well then I just forget your step-by-step. I'm just going to make you a fish sweater. But no, I'm going to finish this one for him. And then maybe sometime in the future, I will make him a matching King Salmon sweater. Because how cute would that be? My next whip that I'd like to talk about is also very exciting. Let me just show you. Here is the beginning of my Lana vest by Irene Lynn. Not much to see here. I literally just cast this on the other day. This will be my first cable project, which is exciting. And also my first vest project as well. So that's really exciting. We'll get into the details. So I'm knitting the size 1 and that has a bust circumference of 116 centimeters. And I was looking, it's gonna fit pretty similar to my Mudo sweater, which is great. Just a little bit, I don't wanna say tight, it's not tight, but the finished circumference is a little bit smaller than say my lumme sweater. I think it'll still fit me great. I don't want it to be as oversized as the pattern suggests because then, I don't know, I would just feel like I'm swimming in it. So I think size 1 will be perfect. I'm knitting this with 5mm needles, and I'm knitting this in Barocco Vintage in the color Marmalade because I had a skein and a half left over from my lumme sweater, and based off of the yardage requirements, I only needed to get 2 more skeins. So I'm thinking 3.5 will be enough to finish it. It might end up being a little bit more cropped than what the pattern recommends, but I'm totally cool with that. So we'll see how it goes. This is for a knit along that Knit Cheek and Love of Fibers is putting on Instagram called the Fall for Vests knit along. They have a little hashtag to go with it. I'm really excited to be a part of that. I think they are also knitting the Lana vest as well, which I think is great because it's a beautiful pattern, but it's been on my list for a while because it seems a little bit less intimidating in terms of cable projects because it's just the body. I don't have to worry about doing the sleeves too. And I just love the finished object. I think it's going to be really beautiful. It'll be perfect for fall. I imagine I have like an oatmeal fitted t-shirt that would go great underneath this marmalade color, which is so striking and autumnal. I mean, it's going to be really beautiful. I've seen a lot of versions of this in just like a pretty cream neutral color. And while that's nice, I love a good punchy mustard yellow. And since using this color in my lumme sweater, I was like, I have to make something with just this yarn by itself because it's so pretty. It has like a really pretty mix of color. I wouldn't say that it's heathered by any means, but it is mostly yellow, and then it has like tiny little threads of red in it too. So it's just really nice. I'm really excited to see this worked up, and this is probably going to be number 1 on my projects to be working on because I want to get it done before the knit along is over. And also I just want this for the fall season as well. So this definitely takes top priority. Okay, so the next work in progress I'd like to talk about is a hipster hat by Petite Knit. And I'm making this for my daughter Rowan. I said in my last podcast that I was going to use the yarn from my failed Sunday socks for Tyler for something else, like maybe a hat for Rowan. And here she is. It's just a simple 2x2 rib. I'm knitting the size baby with 3.5mm needles, and the yarn is Sandnes Garn Perfect in the color 8581. Sandnes Garn Perfect is a mix of 80% wool and 20% nylon, so it's going to hold up really well because I'm hoping that she can wear this for a long time. I had it in my head too that I only had 2 balls of this yarn, but when I was looking through my stash, I found a third one. So I was thinking in my head, I'm not going to have enough yarn to add the length that I need for these socks to fit Tyler. I was completely wrong. I have a whole nother ball, but whatever. So since discovering that, I was thinking maybe I can make a hat for myself, maybe a hipster hat. I've also had in my favorites the Mood beanie. I forget who it's by, but I'll insert a picture. I have been eyeballing that beanie for a long time, and I think the green would look really nice in it. Now, I'm not sure if I have the correct amount of yardage for it, but I'll look into it and see. Maybe I'll use it for something else. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to have to dip into a second ball for her hat, and so we'll see what's left over and then we'll go from there. I'm almost at the recommended length before decreases, so this should be done pretty soon. It's going to be super cute. It looks so tiny because the 2x2 shrinks up a lot. With how much it stretches, I think she'll be able to wear it for a long time. At least that's what I'm hoping. Okay, so the last work in project I want to talk about is a new cast on, and I will say I cast this on a little bit ago, but it's now on the back burner because my Lana vest has priority, but I still thought it would be worth mentioning. And this is The Weekender by Andrea Mowry, and here's what I have to show you. This is not even the full length of the back ribbing. This is a bottom-up construction. So you start with the ribbing, and it's a split hem, so you do one side and then the second side, and then connect in the round. Although it's not much, I thought I would still mention that this is on my needles. I'm knitting this in the size 3. The ribbing is on 4mm needles, and I'm knitting this in Barocco Remix in the color Juniper. So this is the second sweater that I was talking about wanting to make with the quantity that I got of this yarn. I've seen a lot of Weekenders made in Remix, so I think it's a great option for it. And what's funny is this sweater and the King Salmon both call for Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, and I am knitting both of those patterns in Barocco Remix, so I think that's kind of funny. I think this is gonna look really nice because I love this green color and it's gonna look so good on its own. So we'll get to that eventually, but that is something that I would like to finish before the end of the year. Okay, so let's talk about future plans. Fall plans. So I have purchased some yarn to make another Olga sweater by Petite Knit. This will be my 4th Olga sweater, which is kind of funny. Okay, here's the deal. So I just finished in my first podcast. So I just finished my cotton black and white Olga sweater, and it's a little bit stiff. It's a little bit bulky. I kind of knew that going into it. It's a little bit too high contrast for me right now. So I was keeping an eye on Linda Hobby's website because I wanted to purchase Drops Cotton Merino, which is a mix of cotton and merino. And I've been wanting to knit with a cotton and merino mix because I feel like as a sensitive girly, it would be really good for me. I decided to get some because they are having a sale right now, and they're on sale for like $2.99 a ball, which is wonderful. So I purchased 5 balls of each color, being dark green and pistachio ice, to make a really pretty like green lower contrast striped sweater. That's very up my alley. I think it's gonna be really beautiful. I'm hoping that it's true to color based off of the website, but we will see, and it will be fine either way, right? Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm just really wanting the perfect Olga sweater because the first one I made is in a superwash merino, and I don't really love the feeling of it. I love the colors of it. I don't really love the yarn. And then my next one was a hand-dyed superwash merino, which is beautiful because it's hand-dyed and speckled and lovely. But again, I don't love the yarn. And so the third one I made is my black and white cotton Olga. And again, I don't really love the yarn. It's really pretty. It's just kind of thick and bulky. And I even said that when I first made it. And now in my mind, I'm like, oh, I can just frog it. But I'm like, what else am I going to use the yarn for? I don't know. So now I'm on the hunt for the perfect Olga. And I'm hoping that this yarn is going to do that for me. So stay tuned. We'll see what happens. And the aforementioned frogged sweater is my Stornoway sweater, RIP. It really is a beautiful pattern, but I was knitting it in Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in the color Rust and Drops Alpaca Silk in the color Rust. I've come to discover that I am sensitive to alpaca, and I sat on this for a while, but I decided to frog it because I want to make something that I'm actually going to wear, and Knitting for Olive is such a wonderful, like, high quality yarn that I want to make something useful out of it. So I was able to save all of my Knitting for Olive yarn for the most part. But I wasn't able to save any of the alpaca silk because it kept twisting and knotting up while I was frogging it. And given that I'm sensitive to it anyways, I was like, okay, whatever. My priority is the heavy merino. So here's what I'm thinking. After scouring Ravelry, I'm kind of thinking of making the sweater number 23 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This also calls for the mohair, but I'm thinking I can hit gauge with just the heavy merino because I'm also concerned based off what I've read that the heavy merino might pill on its own. I'm curious what any of you have to say about that. If you have any experience with using the heavy merino on its own, does it pill a lot? Is it worth making a garment without the silk mohair? And if that's the case, what pattern do you recommend to make instead? I'm having a hard time just finding projects with only the heavy merino because I don't really want to purchase $90 worth of mohair with the uncertainty that I'm going to even be able to like wear it. I do have some Knitting for Olive merino, the fingering weight, and mohair in my stash, but I have not used it. I haven't made a finished object with it. Let's say that. So I'm unsure if I'm going to be able to handle it as a sensitive girly. I thought I had enough to make a garment with the yarn that I have in stash, but I don't think that I do. So I'm kind of thinking of using that yarn for some gift knits for Christmas. So we'll see about that. So that's a good segue into what I'm considering making for Christmas. So maybe with that Knitting for Olive yarn, I have it in wheat and Trenchcoat. I was thinking of maybe making like a big Sophie scarf. I also have Knitting for Olive bark, merino, and soft silk mohair. And I think I also have Dusty Artichoke, merino, and soft silk mohair. So I'm thinking of maybe just making like Sophie scarves out of those. With the wheat, I have like almost 4 balls of it, so I can make a big one, which I think would make a nice gift for my mom. If you're watching, sorry. Anyways. So another idea is I was thinking of making a baby sweater for my daughter Rowan to kind of match my lumme sweater because I have enough left over that I could do like the flower, just the flower motif in it. And I think that would be super cute. So maybe that can be a gift for her for Christmas. I've also been considering crocheting her Halloween costume. So I've been looking at Pinterest for that. So I was thinking of maybe making like a cute little mushroom hat for her or like a classic oversized pumpkin little onesie situation. So we'll see what I decide. But that's really all for future plans. So I guess that's pretty much everything. I would love to know what you are making for fall. And if you're also going to be a part of the Fish Girl Fall Make Along or the Fall for Vests Knit Along, let me know what you're making if you're going to be a part of that too. But with that being said, let me just mention my Ravelry. I am trying to be a lot better about taking notes and putting all the details in all of my projects. So I will leave that link below. And also follow me on Instagram if you're interested in seeing like some updates in between videos. You can follow me at handmadebygib, which I will also link below. Also consider subscribing if you want to stick around and see any future updates on the things that I'm making. And yeah, I guess that concludes this video. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you in the next video.